the hell do you guys want? And more importantly, how the hell did you find out where I was at? If they want some answers, they should have sent someone with some authority. Do you agree with me? Well, it really don't matter if you agree with me or not. On second thought, once you just sit your little carcass down at that table, I'll answer every little question you got. Before we get started with anything, like I said, we're on my time, so we're going to do things like I want to do them. I want to cover something right off the bat.
We're in the business of winning.
The first thing I want to be done is to get that piece of crap out of my ring. I'm serving notice. I don't give a damn what they are. They're all on the list, and I'm fixing to start running through all of them.
We're in the business of winning.
I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
We're in the business of winning.
It's been so fast you can't even talk about it. Things are just popping right now. Things are starting to cultivate. Things are starting to grow. Things are getting real colorful.
Look at. We're in the business of winning.
Don't bet against me.
I don't bet anyway.
Don't lose your life.
We're in the business of winning.
Are you kidding me?
We're in the business of winning.
Are you kidding me?
We're in the business of winning.
Yeah, absolutely total control right there. Watch this. Champion's prerogative, and I just exercised that option.
We're in the business of winning. We're in the business of winning.
Yeah, if he wants to keep an eye on me, don't look behind you. No, don't look in front. Don't look to the sides. Look straight up, because I'm right on top of you. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're in the business of winning.
And any crying or any excuses is just sour grapes.
We're in the business of winning.
And I think that the spotlight should go on top of me. Yeah.
We're in the business of winning.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
We're in the business of winning. We're in the business of winning. We're in the business of winning.
Don't bet against me.
I don't bet anyway.
Don't lose your life.
We're in the business of winning.
Don't degrade the champion at any time. Yeah, I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better. On balance, off balance, doesn't matter. I'm better than you are, yeah. I'm on my way. And nothing is gonna stop me. Nothing's gonna stop me.
And we had non-believers all along the way. I have one thing to say to those non-believers. Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Follow your heart, kid, and you never go wrong.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
What the hell do you guys want? And more importantly, how the hell did you find out where I was at? If they want some answers, they should have sent someone with some authority. Do you agree with me? Well, it really don't matter if you agree with me or not. On second thought, once you just sit your little carcass down at that table, I'll answer every little question you got. Before we get started with anything, like I said, we're on my time, so we're going to do things like I want to do them. I want to cover something right off the bat.
We're in the business of winning.
The first thing I want to be done is to get that piece of crap out of my ring. I'm serving notice. I don't give a damn what they are. They're all on the list, and I'm fixing to start running through all of them.
We're in the business of winning.
I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
We're in the business of winning.
Moving so fast you can't even talk about it. Things are just popping right now. Things are starting to cultivate. Things are starting to grow. Things are getting real colorful.
Look at.
We're in the business of winning.
Don't bet against me.
I don't bet anyway.
Lose your life.
We're in the business of winning.
Are you kidding me?
We're in the business of winning.
Are you kidding me?
We're in the business of winning.
Yeah, absolutely total control right there. Watch this. Champion's prerogative, and I just exercised that option.
We're in the business of winning. We're in the business of winning.
Yeah, if he wants to keep an eye on me, don't look behind you. Oh, no, don't look in front. Don't look to the sides. Look straight up, because I'm right on top of you. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're in the business of winning.
And it ain't crying.
All right, we're live. Make sure we look good. I think we look good. We always do.
No doubt about that.
Yeah. Rough week last week, no doubt.
for betting and our personal teams.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Damn it.
Damn.
Let me get us situated here real quick. All right. We are at, what is this now? NCAA Week 7, NFL Week 6. Ian won last week, although we all didn't do very good. So Ian, if you wanna lead us off, go ahead.
Yeah, we don't need to recap last week. That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Let's start with Washington -2.5 versus Oregon. I'm leaning Washington here, only for a point. I think Penix, this is going to be his, he could have his Heisman moment here. When you compare him to Bo Nix, I would take him any day of the week, even though Bo Nix has been good. Washington is first in total offense, passing offense, and third in scoring offense. So they've been moving the ball easy. And Oregon, they needed a fourth quarter comeback against Tech, who is probably the best team that they would. I guess that would be the hardest team that Oregon played. Yeah, I don't expect a blowout or anything. I actually like Oregon a lot. I just think that I think Washington gets it done here. Just too much offense.
Ren, you got second? No, I got second, huh? I looked at you. I looked at your numbers for a second. You did pretty bad. That's all right. Yeah. So let's see. Oregon at Washington. The line is right now is Washington -3, over under 67. I believe I took Oregon in this. I just think they're playing really good. Washington, I think, is definitely a good team. They barely beat Arizona, though. They beat up on Cal. They beat Michigan State pretty good, but that's not saying much this year. Michigan State's been pretty horrible. I look over at Oregon. They beat Tech. I think Tech's a little better than the season they've had so far. They stomp Hawaii, Colorado, and Stanford. I just think Oregon gets the win here. I don't have a strong feeling about this game. I think it's going to be a good game. Number 7, number 8. This is obviously a big game for the Pac-12. So, I'm going to go Oregon -3. I think Nix is the difference. Anytime you don't know or you're on the edge, you almost always lean towards taking the better quarterback. So, I'm going to go Bo Nix here, and I'm going to take Oregon -3.
So you're telling me you think Bo Nix is a better quarterback than Penix?
I think so, yeah. As a quarterback, yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know. I think y'all basically made both arguments are good arguments, because really I didn't pick either. I just picked the over because it's at 67-68. I think either team could score 40, 45 on their own. Winner of this game, I mean, it's a huge game just because whoever wins is going to play USC and most likely in the Pac-12 title game. I can see it being close, but I could also see it just somebody just blowing it out. So I just picked the over. I couldn't decide on who to pick. I mean, both teams have great quarterbacks. Both teams at 1-6 and 1-8, or is it 7-8? So I picked the over, and I think that's at 67.5. So that doesn't seem too high for a college football game with two really high scoring offenses.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, Penix is good. I just think in terms of being a thrower, I think Bo Nix is better. Penix might produce more, right? He might put up more numbers and whatnot, and that does matter. I just think in terms of leading a team and being a quarterback, I think Bo Nix is a little better. He's got a little bit of a better completion percentage, better touchdown to interception ratio. He hasn't thrown for as many yards, obviously, so that's probably what most people are looking at. And looks like Penix isn't much of a rusher, huh?
Nah, I think he has the 3 best as overall receiving core. They think he has the best overall in the country, even better than USC or Ohio State. But he really does. They just sling it all day.
Damn, and this is his 6th year in the college football.
Bo Nix?
Is it?
Penix.
They probably got over a decade between them.
Yeah, Penix. This is his 6th year.
I did not know that.
Indiana, right? He started Indiana.
Let me see here. Maybe the list.
You gotta burn those.
4 years Indiana, and then last year at Washington. So he's probably, I'm guessing he's done after this year. I don't see how he could go much further, but you never know.
Yeah. Everybody's got those injury and COVID years now.
Yep. All right, who's next?
All right, more. It's very Pac-12 heavy. So we got Notre Dame -2.5 versus USC. Notre Dame, it kind of seems like they're struggling, but it was undefeated Louisville, right? And then a very close game against Ohio State. Came down to the last play where they only had 10 dudes on the field. Hartman kind of started out fast for Notre Dame, right? But they've kind of slowed since they've been playing better competition lately. But against bad pass defenses, Hartman shreds those teams. And that's exactly what USC is. Just a horrible pass defense. USC's allowed 28 points to, San Jose State, Arizona State, and then gave up 41 to Arizona and Colorado. This is not a good defense. We know about their offense, but I think that Notre Dame's a more complete team. Give me Notre Dame. I think the line today was 2.5. Give me that for taking 2 points on that one.
Yeah, ESPN's got Notre Dame -3, over under 60. I don't know, man. This is probably the hardest game for me that I was looking at that I had to pick. Notre Dame is a 2.5 point favorite or 3 point favorite. It's at Notre Dame. Man, I really hadn't even picked this game until now. I probably like the over 60 more than the line. We know USC can score, and USC's given up quite a few points to some subpar teams, you would say. Although it's 3 overtimes, I mean, 41 to Arizona, 41 to Colorado, 28 to Arizona State is not very good. So I think it's going to be a lot of points. I'll probably just take the over 60 for 1.
I actually agree with you on that, but I'd pick the Notre Dame for a lot of the same reasons. I mean, they really only lost to like the number 3 team in the country, and then an undefeated Louisville team who had to run like 200 yards and intercept Hartman for 3 picks just to beat them, and that's not going to happen every day. USC definitely doesn't have that type of defense, and you expect their offense. They really didn't even do that good against Arizona, and Arizona didn't stand out defensively, and it took them 3 overtimes to get that win. I think Notre Dame is just more complete. I think USC really relies all on one player, and I'm going to take Notre Dame and the points for 2.
So Ryan, are you kind of coming off of, you were very pro USC, I guess, are you coming off of that like lately because they've been playing some close games against some bad teams?
Their defense is really atrocious.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dart's in the chat. Lisa was in the chat earlier, and I think Brady's in the chat too. So he thought my Bo Nix over Penix was embarrassing. So I mean, they're both good. I just think Bo Nix is a better thrower, like a better, can manufacture a drive or be more accurate. But that's just my 2 cents. So yeah, I mean, you guys are kind of convincing me that Notre Dame probably is going to get this dub. So, but I still like the over 60 either way.
Yeah, for sure on that over.
Move over some ACC action. North Carolina -3.5 versus Miami. Miami, that heartbreaking loss against Georgia Tech. Like, what the hell are they doing? They're running the ball instead of kneeling. And then after that, they gave up a touch. Like, they're supposed to be in prevent, right? And this guy just runs right in between everybody and gets hit wide open.
I saw
that. It wasn't like a jump ball. It was just like 2 just bad. That's like bad coaching. So it's got to be hard for this team, right, to go from undefeated to losing a game they shouldn't have lost. For all like purposes, they won. Drake May does well in big games. North Carolina's covered the spread against every FBS team they've played.
Yep.
The only one they didn't cover was App State. And the old Gene Chizik, Mac Brown connection, dude. Gene Chizik, 25th. Their defense is 25th against FBS opponents, only allowing 19 a game. Miami is, 16th. They're only allowing 16.5. But, those games were like Boston College, Georgia Tech, Miami, Ohio. I'm taking North Carolina here, -3.5. I'm taking it for a point. I just think that they're overall a better team.
Yeah, so far my 2, not to rub it in, but so far my 2 biggest betting teams in college football I've been riding with that have been hitting have been Oklahoma and UNC. UNC's been crushing spreads. Like you said, I think App's the only one they haven't covered. So yeah, I mean, I like UNC here. I think this one's pretty easy. It's at Chapel Hill. Over-under's 57, so plenty of points. I think that favors North Carolina. I think they can outrace Miami more than Miami can keep up. So you're really just asking UNC's defense to, even more specifically, UNC's secondary to just step up, not get toasted like A&M did, and they should win this game by 10 points. So yeah, I got UNC -3.5. I'll probably go 2 or 3 points on this one. Just keep that North Carolina hot hand going.
I don't know. I actually got it the exact opposite. I think you take away that embarrassing loss. First the line's what, -3 or -3 for UNC, right? So
3.5, yeah.
Vegas thinks the teams are even. You take away that loss, they're probably gonna lean more towards Miami winning, or even maybe or more a closer line at least. And I think because you look Miami, they have the 12th best offense in the country, and it's not just all throwing and running. Like, I think they had the 15th best rushing attack, 23rd best run game. And then you match that on the other side, they had the 15th best defense. I think they just really just shit the bed against Georgia Tech. And, everybody has a game like that. And then if they were undefeated, I think we'd all be picking them to beat UNC because UNC's defense has just been really bad. But Ian's right. Drake May has been really good on offense. But after listening to y'all, I'm only going to pick Miami for a 1. Not trying to go big and lose more points here.
Yeah, I kind of like the over 57 too. Both teams have good offenses. The defenses are okay. You know, they're not like horrible, but the over 57 is not bad either.
I mean,
Ian.
yeah. All right, some more staying in the Pac-12 here. Shame this conference is done. I've taken UCLA plus 3.5 at Oregon State. I'm just going to rattle off a bunch of defensive stats here that I've just discovered from UCLA today. So their last 2 games, they lost 14-7 to then number 11 Utah, and then they won 25-17 against number 13 Washington State. They only allowed 12.2 points a game. That's good for 8th in the country. They haven't allowed more than 17 in their last 5, and they're holding opponents to under 65 yards rushing a game. These all seem like crazy numbers for a Chip Kelly team. So I think the offense is going to be there with Chip Kelly, the high tempo. So you give them a defense, it's probably a pretty good team, and you're going to give me 3.5 points in what, for all purposes, looks like it should be a close game. And UCLA also has a couple defenders with 4.5 or more sacks. I just think their rush defense that's the strength of Oregon State. I think you take that away. DJ Ugalele, or however you say his name, is not not the guy you want to put. You don't want to put a team on his back through the air. So I'll take the points, UCLA plus 3.5, and I'll take that for 2.
Yeah, so what's really interesting about these teams is they have 3 teams that they've each played: San Diego State, Washington State, and Utah. So I guess if we're going to try and draw a comparison here, I kind of like Oregon State. They kind of both beat San Diego State around the same ballpark. UCLA lost to Utah by 7. Oregon State beat Utah by 14. Of course, Washington State, UCLA won by 8 there, while Oregon lost to Washington State by 3. So, I mean, if I just had to kind of look at it and gauge it, I don't know much about these teams, I won't lie. Like, I'm not an expert on the Pac-12 here. But I probably will go ahead and go Oregon State at home, minus 3.5 against UCLA. I'll probably put 1 on it.
Yeah, what you just said is what I had down. They played, similar, kind of a similar schedule. UCLA beat Washington State by 8. They actually are almost identical when it comes to offense. UCLA averages 459 yards a game. That's 258 throwing, 200 on the ground. The Beavers, it's 250 through the air, 205 on the ground. That's almost identical. But UCLA is a much better defensive team, like Ian rattled off. And I don't know. I lean towards UCLA because, they have their defense. It's not even close. It's so much better than Oregon State's. So I'm going to take UCLA for 2.
All right, so now I guess this would be our big game of the week here. Tennessee minus 3.5 versus the Aggies, but I read that wrong. I'm taking Aggies plus 3.5. So give me Aggies plus 3.5 at Tennessee. The weather's going to be bad. At minimum, it's going to be super windy. It could also possibly be rainy. So give me the team that's better at running, right? Or at least give me the team that is 9th in rushing defense, the Aggies. 5th in yards per carry allowed, Aggies. 54 tackles for loss, they lead the country. 26 sacks, also leads the country. And if Tennessee's going to throw it around, they're not the Tennessee of last year, right? This guy is not as good. Milton is not as good at throwing it. The Aggies do have the 24th best passing defense. They're probably very similar to like Texas in the fact of they will hold people, but they are susceptible to the big plays sometimes.
Yeah.
But Tennessee hasn't been exploding like they were last year, right? They're not hitting consistent deep plays. And if it's windy and rainy, that takes that kind of factor out even more. So I'm going to take the Aggies plus 3.5 for one. And then with the weather and both these defenses are pretty good, I'm also going to take the under 55.5.
I like it. I like both of them. I agree with a lot of what you said. The weather and Aggies front seven, I kind of like that. If they can't throw the ball, which is A&M's biggest weakness is their secondary, as we saw last week, then yeah, you would think that's a huge advantage for A&M. Tennessee can run the ball, right? I mean, they are rushing for 231 yards a game. Granted, hasn't been against, I think, some of the defenses A&M has faced, but they can run the ball too, so that makes me a little wary. But I think A&M's front seven can handle anybody in terms of the run game and getting pressure. But like you just said, if the quarterback's able to buy time, if A&M does not get there, the Aggie secondary is really susceptible, and that's the worst thing. You saw it last week. They literally had a chance to put Bama away, and they get like two guys on Bama's QB, and he sneaks away and gets like a 15-yarder to his wide receiver. And that happened a few times. That kind of just broke the back of A&M. I thought A&M should have been up by 2 touchdowns at halftime against Bama last week. I thought they absolutely crushed them in the first half, even though the scoreboard didn't quite show it. Bama was struggling. They were lucky to get that 1 touchdown that they had. And man, I was really hoping A&M was going to put it together, and they blew it in the second half. Again, it went exactly like I said I would. It just if they don't get to Bama's QB and he's able to sneak out, A&M is in a lot of trouble. But I think here this is a kind of a get right spot for A&M. I just, man, you got to think. I mean, it's only 2 losses, right? Miami and Bama are not exactly, it's not like that embarrassing, seeing Miami's still been pretty good, minus Georgia Tech last week. But Bama's obviously who they are. I really felt like we should have won last week. I didn't feel like we deserved to win against Miami. That's just how bad we played on defense. But I really thought we made enough plays to beat Bama. The offense just didn't quite get us over the hump. But I think A&M gets right here. I'm probably going to put 2 on A&M, plus 3, plus 3.5. It'd be nice to get that hook. Maybe if the public fades A&M a little bit, which isn't impossible, might get that 3.5. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to stick with my boys. I'm going Aggies here, plus 3.
Dang, y'all really might have taught me how to pick at Tennessee. They had won 12 in a row at home. I think kind of the other way. I think that loss against Bama probably takes the wind out of the Aggie sails. Like, fuck, man, like another year we're gonna have to wait, like basically just you can hear your voice like shit, like we just blew a whole another year. I wonder if the players are just thinking the same thing. I don't really think there's a scenario they reach the SEC title game.
Well, real quick, I don't mean to take your time, but I would say like if A&M was gonna be like that Miami game I think was way more of a heartbreaker and a backbreaker and like bad for the morale than the Bama game, right? Like losing to Bama by 6 after you had them and you feel like you might outplay them for 2 or 3 quarters, I think that's different than just getting smacked by Miami, who's I don't think they're quite as good as A&M across the board talent-wise. They just, again, our one weakness, they were able to exploit it over and over. I don't think it's I honestly, after seeing how they came back after Miami, I don't think it's that demoralizing. I think this team. I think some attitude and culture has changed at A&M a little bit with this recruiting classes and the guys they got. I just feel like I don't feel like that's a problem. I think they still feel like they have something to play for. Again, Bama could lose another game. It's not impossible to think, right?
That is true. It's not the Bama Bowl this year.
Yeah, and if Aggies can get past this Tennessee team, their schedule's all downhill until LSU at the end of the year. So.
In Tennessee, really, like when they first played Florida early in the year, Florida just routed them. And but since then, I think they've won every game. The Aggies, I mean, just that loss. I mean, having your second loss, I think you're right. Either way, you're going to see what type of Aggies team this is going into Tennessee. And if they just come into Tennessee and knock them around and win, it says a lot more than like if Tennessee just beats them and it's another 3 loss and what get rid of Jimbo, all that crap's gonna start happening. So I mean, but with that said, then listen to what y'all said about the Aggies. I'm just gonna put 1 on Tennessee. Just for them being at home, and they've won 12 in a row at home. I don't know. We're gonna see what the Aggies are made of coming off that loss.
Yeah, that's fair. I also think that if A&M wins here, right, you kind of say, all right, that Miami loss was bad. Second game of the year, right? You lost by 6 to Bama after, some people might have said like A&M probably could have, should have won that one maybe. A few plays here or there, and A&M probably wins by a touchdown or two. But I just think that if A&M is thinking if we can win this game decisively or at least by a touchdown or something, we might be ranked, right? We might get right back in there, and it makes the Bama loss not feel so bad, right? I mean, it's not like we lost by 21 to Bama, right? We lost by 6. We were in control, I felt like, for 2.5 quarters, 3 quarters for a little bit. And I think if they can beat Tennessee here, I think A&M feels like they can get right back on track. So this is definitely a big game for A&M. This is definitely a nut up or shut up time. And I will agree, if they lose this game, that fucking sucks. Like, still think they do good the rest of the year going forward because their schedule gets easier. But yeah, if they lose this game, man, that really is going to hurt. I think they have a bye week either next week or the week after. So it'd be good to get to that bye week without losing another one.
The Aggies have, they lost to Miami, right? A ranked team. And then I think Bama, I think personally, they're going to be in the top 10, probably like near like 7 or 8 when the year's over, because they're kind of back to the Bama of you have to play mistake-free on offense and you have to bring it on defense just to have a chance of beating them. And so a loss to Bama is not, it's not really a reflection of, the Aggies can't beat Tennessee. Tennessee has lost, like the only decent team they played is Florida, and they lost, and Florida's not even that good.
Florida killed them.
That's like Florida's best win.
It was 29-16. It probably felt like they crushed Tennessee, but
yeah, it did.
It was kind of a surprise because Florida.
I didn't see that game, so I remember watching it. It was ugly.
So I think the Aggies have these. I think this will be probably the third best team the Aggies have played, and I think Tennessee's going to.
Oh yeah.
I think when they play them, I think Tennessee gets exposed here a little bit. I think the Aggies win, and kind of talking to that Bama point, looking at their schedule going forward, Arkansas win, Tennessee probably a win. I know what happened last year. LSU is probably their toughest matchup, but LSU's shown they can't stop anybody. We'll see how Kentucky rebounds to Chattanooga and Auburn. So unless LSU gets a win there, it's looking like they win the SEC West. So
yeah,
a close
I agree.
game against Bama is not too bad.
A&M's in the back seat right now, for sure.
They need I think LSU to beat Bama, and then I don't think LSU has lost yet in SEC play, right? So they need someone to beat LSU. Oh, Aggies could beat LSU, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think we can beat LSU this year. Absolutely.
Well, y'all play them. I'm saying, right?
Yeah, last game
in the West?
Last game or second to last game of the year. I can't quite remember. What
so
did you say? You just said something a second ago that made me think of something. Oh, LSU. Are they? They're not undefeated, are they? They lost.
No, they lost to Florida State.
Utah?
And they lost to they lost to Florida State. And then they lost the second game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Florida
Ole
State.
Miss. They lost to Ole Miss. So.
Ooh. Wow. Oh yeah, that's right. They gave up 700 yards of offense.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, didn't they just get out some big ass game where they lost? Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, yeah, that's my 2 cents on the whole Aggie situation. It freaking. Like, the Miami game actually now retroactively feels worse than the Bama game right now, coming fresh off of it. Like, I guess, like, they say there's no moral victories, but I think last week proved as well to A&M, like, the talent gap between them and A&M, between Bama and A&M is closed too. Like, at least for this year, right? At least right now in this present snapshot time. I still stand by what I said. I think A&M had more talent than them almost all over the field except the secondary, and I think Bama's quarterback and wide receivers outplayed ours definitely last week. I mean, I feel like if we play that game again at Kyle Field, man, I think A&M comes away with the victory. I really do. I really thought they crushed Bama in the first half. It felt really good. I thought we should have been up by double-digit points at halftime, which kind of sucked. I felt like that was going to come back to hurt us, that we didn't get more points on Bama. But yeah, I mean, the Bama game, I actually felt okay after. Like, I felt like we hit Bama in the mouth a couple times, which we almost never do, right? I know we beat them sometimes, but like it's usually a sort of crazy thing when we beat them, or like a lot of big plays happen. And I feel like just matching up toe to toe last week, like we looked okay. Like I think we looked okay against Bama all across the field than what we've looked in the past, right? Even sometimes when we beat them. So, there's no moral victories. I understand that, but I thought A&M looked okay last week. I thought even though they lost, again, you beat Bama for a half. Like they did beat Bama for a half. I don't think there's any question about that. That's okay. That's a little bit of we'll take that away and use it for next game, hopefully.
Yeah, Ryan he's always asking me, or he's kind of pointing out, like I'm usually pretty high on Aggies, and it's just from following recruiting. I would say the top 10 recruiting classes, I am constantly higher on them in games, just because I know at least the usual suspects there in the top 10. That their talent, despite like if their playmaker is not playing, can get them through games. And Bama's always there. Aggies, Texas, Oklahoma, like those guys are always going to be. I think if Bama played, despite what just happened, the spread's probably the same thing it was last week, right? -2 if they played again. I think Vegas is like, we had that right. It was a close game, at least from what you saw, right? It just came down to a couple, things late. It can kind of blow the score up.
Exactly what I said too. I was like, if Milroe gets away and makes a couple plays, that might be the difference. Like they have got to get to him all game, and it's like they got to him for 2.5, 3 quarters, and then he made a couple plays and burned the secondary, and the wide receivers made some plays too, and that was it.
He's not a Bryce Young where you can get to him with an arm. You have to drill that dude.
Yeah.
So you have to get a solid hit on him, which makes it even more frustrating because he can like start to move when he feels pressure and then just escape. Arm tackles. The dude's huge. So
yeah, and speaking of recruiting, like one thing they have is called this blue chip ratio. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but A&M's I think 3rd in the nation behind Georgia and Alabama. It's essentially how many 4 and 5 stars do you have? And A&M's like 3rd or 4th in the nation behind Bama and Georgia. And you have to understand, like this is almost like a new story arc for A&M going back to that #1 recruiting class, right? Like A&M had never done that. And again, with the NIL, I know we've talked about it a lot, but I think the NIL helps A&M. They are going to spend up there with everybody every year. That's just the way it is, and you're hoping they keep getting these top classes. It will eventually hit. It has to. Like, there's even some crazy stat about the teams who get like a #1 recruiting class, like 3 or 4 years later, they end up like going to the championship game like half the time or something like that.
Yeah,
it's a really crazy stat. Like, you have to start with recruiting. That is where college football starts. I think, in my opinion, that is 90% of it. The other 10% is X's and O's on the field. Like, you have to hit recruiting. You have to get this blue chip ratio up. And A&M's done that. And one thing I will say about last year to this year, A&M does look head and shoulders like, I don't want to say talent-wise better, but head and shoulders, they seem more cohesive, right? They seem like a better unit on offense and defense than what they were last year. And again, it's just a shame we can't get a quarterback to just, put that cherry on top and drive it home, right? But I think we're in the right direction. After that Miami game, I was really down. I was like, fuck, like we're going to suck again. But we came back. We bounced back strong. I know we beat Auburn and Arkansas like we should. Lost to Bama by 6. I know there's no moral victories, but we're okay. Like, I still think we're heading in the right direction. It's just a little slower than I would like, but that's all right.
Looking at the blue chip ratio, then we can go on. So I found it. So it's Bama, 90% of their team is a blue chip.
Holy fuck. That's 4 and 5 stars, right? Or is that 3 stars too?
Blue chip ratio for 2023. It's 4 and 5 stars.
Okay.
85% for Ohio State, 77 Georgia, 73 Aggie, 72 Clemson, 71 LSU, and then 70 and 70 are Texas and Oklahoma. And then Oregon at 67%, making me regret that Washington pick, but I'm going to stick with it.
Was that the top 8 teams?
That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, Oregon is 9, and Notre Dame is 10 at 65.
So 6 out of the top 8 recruiting colleges in the nation are going to be in the SEC next year?
1, 2, 3,
That's crazy,
4,
dude.
5, 6. Yeah, 6 out of the top 10, and then 7, 8 of the top 15.
That's pretty crazy, bro.
Yeah. Did y'all know y'all super dogs yet?
Yes, I think I picked one.
All week.
The Ian's super dog pick of the week. Three out of 5 this year. I'm riding Wyoming again, dude. Give me Wyoming plus 10.5 at Air Force. Air Force has played nobody. We've seen Wyoming beat Tech, beat ranked Fresno, and they played Texas close through like 2.5 to 3 quarters.
It gave them a hard game.
Their defense is good. I don't know why they're getting so disrespected. I know Air Force is undefeated, but they haven't played anybody, and this could be a good one. I told Ren not to pick it because I told him about it a couple days ago.
So I took Auburn plus 11.5 at LSU. You know, LSU, I just don't have a lot of confidence in, right? And Auburn played, Georgia pretty well. 11.5 I feel is very big for that risk. So, I mean, it's a big reward for what I feel is just an average risk on a super dog. So I took Auburn plus 11.5 at LSU. That's mine.
Ryan, did you have one or no? You don't got it yet?
I'm trying to look back through our messages. I did have one, but I don't know. We'll have to get back to that. Do you want to do NFL or?
Those following Survivor. Let's see. I'm in another Survivor thing. I'm still in it. I got the Dolphins this week. I think.
Oh, nice.
They're minus 14 at home or something like that. Something crazy.
13.5. I'm actually taking that 13.5, but the Panthers are so bad.
Yeah.
And Miami can score 13 in the first 5 minutes. Even though they lost A-Chain, that hurts, but they were still doing everything before A-Chain got in the rotation. So,
yeah.
And I don't think Claypool's going to suit up, but they're just kind of it's kind of unbelievable the offense they're doing right now. The Panthers are just so bad. I know that I have their starting running back. They never run the ball. They're just like, here, Bryce Young, like, we're just going to throw out 5 wide like you're a rookie. He just goes out there and he just gets killed. You almost feel bad for him. I'm actually taking that Dolphins game minus 13.5. I mean, Panthers they haven't won a game. They're at the Dolphins. I mean, I think it's going to be covered by the first quarter, and then with the Panthers playing catch up, that falls more into the Dolphins' hands. I'm even starting the Dolphins' defense in fantasy football.
Nice. Yeah, I don't have many. The only thing I was gonna say is, there's a game tonight, I believe. Yes, I took Kansas City like minus 10 if you can get it. It says minus 10.5 on ESPN, and I put 3 points on that so I can get my 3 points. Although now it's 4 points back from last week.
5 points last week.
5 or 4, yeah.
Because you had a +1 and then it went to a -1.
Yeah, but I remember thinking I'm gonna put 3 on this one. Chiefs at home against the Broncos, who suck. I think they get it done. They're horrible, dude.
You're gonna take to 10.5?
Yeah, KC at home. Yeah, against the Broncos. I have no faith in the Broncos whatsoever.
Yeah, I thought Zach Wilson and the 9.5 last week, Kansas City at home. Thought that was gonna hit.
2 weeks ago, right?
Oh my God! It came down to Mahomes. There's like 45 seconds left. He gets to the red zone.
Oh
He
yeah.
makes it a clear path and he kneels it. And I'm like, how many people are mad right now about betting?
Yeah,
And
that
I
was week
so
4.
pissed because I'm like, dude, really? Like, what? Does he think
Yeah.
they're gonna run down, score, kick an onside, score again? Like, fuck you, Mahomes.
Yeah, I
Like,
made the right football play technically, but
Technically, it was
yeah.
for sure. No injury. No one's gonna get hurt. You know,
One of
no
those-
chance of getting the onside. But
Miami
like,
should have took a fucking lesson.
for real. I know the Texans lost to an embarrassing Atlanta team. I still like their defense. I still think Stroud's going to win Rookie of the Year. I mean, New Orleans, for as good a player as they have, I thought they'd be better. They really haven't played good at all. I think their defense is what keeps them in most games. Carr has not been very good. I like the Texans getting a 1.5, 2 points at home against them to get back to 500. I also have one more here.
I'm 100% on that one. I got an Applebee's bet out there right now with Texans straight up taking a little extra juice on it. So yeah, dude, I think the Texans they're a decent team. You know, like I think they are.
They're coming along a lot faster than you thought. I mean, D'Amico sticks with running the ball. His defense has gotten a lot better with basically our leading tackler is a guy drafted out of Alabama. He's a rookie. Will Anderson hasn't been just a sack monster yet, but he's blocked some kicks. He's had a whole bunch of QB hurries. They keep our opponents down when it comes to scoring, and it really Stroud. I think he's brought them along like really well, slowly, not the way the Panthers are just putting Bryce Young in 5 wide. Stroud usually run the ball, play action, and he's just getting more confident in every game, and he looks like it. I mean, he just beat your boy Dak's no interception record last week. So
yeah, and when I heard that, I couldn't believe Dak. Dak was the one with the record. I was like, what, Dak?
The guy who's y'all think do you think y'all trade him, or you just think that's just him, or people get?
He's up for a contract this year, right?
I'm not sure. I just saw these headlines like after the 49ers game.
I've always been I'm kind of controversial with quarterbacks because I feel like everyone expects to have like a top 5 quarterback, right? Like they're just like that's just where I think people are. They're like, we have to have one of the best quarterbacks and able to win, which is somewhat true, right? That's definitely not false, but I think you can have a top 10, top 15 QB, and it all depends on how you structure the rest of your team. So I think Dak is good enough, right? I think there are guys who I kind of see quarterbacks. There are guys who are good enough and guys who aren't. I think Dak is good enough, but again, it's kind of the whole team has to put it together. I like our defense, even though we lost Diggs, but Pollard's looking real nice too. Offensive line is still good. So like with all that being said, like yeah, I think Dak. I think he should be good enough to like be getting into the playoffs every year. Obviously, he hasn't. He's gotten in a few times, but it's almost like the Tony Romo thing. Like Romo sucks. It's like, who are you going to replace Tony Romo with, right? Who are you going to find that is better than Tony Romo, even though he's made some bonehead plays, right? Like you're not just going to go out and get a guy who's better than Dak. Like you'd have to get a high draft pick, make a big trade, sell some picks. So that's just my thought. Quarterbacks are kind of either good enough or not. And then, of course, you have like your Mahomes and your top tier guys. But I think if you have a top 10, top 12, 13, somewhere in that realm, I think that's good enough.
I mean, look at the 49ers. You just plug a decent quarterback in there. And with, was it Baby Shanahan?
Yeah, Shanahan's still over there, yeah.
With that offense and the weapons around them with McCaffrey and Debo, they're just going to be good, and they have been. They had to go down to like their 4th string to get booted out of the playoffs. Brock Purdy's in there. He's doing completely fine. They don't even need Garoppolo. And then, like you said, like you have to be just good enough. It's like Kirk Cousins. Give him a run game. Give him a defense. He's not going to be a top 5 guy, but he's always going to get you in the playoffs. And he's going to have games where he throws for 350 yards, 4 touchdowns. But I mean, like you said, it's all about the way it's structured. And there's about 3 or 4 guys up at the top, like Rodgers and Mahomes. I mean, those people are just in a class of their own, though.
A couple games I got this week. Shout out myself for that Jags plus 5.5, though.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I thought Buffalo was gonna crush them.
Yeah, he would. I watched it at his house. He wouldn't shut up about it.
Look at this. Look at this. Jags are now they're only -4 versus the Colts, who have no Richardson. Maybe there's like a whole thing, right? They're coming back from London. I don't know if that's a thing playing into it,
but
they
just think Minshew's better than Richardson, honestly.
Oh, and also isn't Taylor supposed to come back?
Gardner Minshew. Which Jonathan Taylor's back 2nd week.
That might explain it. I was taking Jags -4 here.
I mean,
for 2.
What has Richardson proved? Honestly, that he's just an athlete who can throw the ball really far. I mean, he just gets injured all the time because he's trying to make. It's like he looks at his first read, not there. I'm going to try to run. I mean,
yeah.
I think Vegas probably sees Minshew as a better QB option.
It's not impossible.
Yeah. I mean, just because he's drafted high doesn't mean like he's gonna be good. He could just be.
Yeah, I didn't even hear about him at Florida really. So I think it was just more based on just athletic freak.
Yeah.
Yeah, then just like some other teams I think I took that Jacksonville spread. I think maybe this is hopefully a little bit of a coming back arc for Jacksonville, because I do think Jacksonville's good, right? I also have Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley on one of my fantasy teams. It'd be nice if they would hook up a little more, and I think they will. Like, I think that's a good combo, but they just haven't quite put it together yet. And I think I took.
They definitely started to last week in London, because I was watching it and I was playing you in fantasy and I was hating it.
Yeah.
They were getting it together.
One of the spreads I couldn't understand was San Fran minus 9.5 at Cleveland. I jumped all over that. I think I put a 3 on this one.
On San Fran to win, right?
Yeah, San Fran minus 9.5 before it gets to 10.
I think it's Cleveland's defense.
Right.
Yeah, they have a great defense. Watson's just now coming back from injury, I think, right? His first game back or second?
I'm not sure.
Out for the year, so really, I mean, they're down to Ford at running back, and I think Amari Cooper's their number 1 receiver. So, yeah, I agree. Like, shit, they should blow them out, right?
You would think 2 touchdowns, right? But Vegas is Vegas, right?
Yeah, you got Ayuk back, Debo, like that. San Francisco is completely healthy. They should do this.
Yeah.
I don't think Watson's not who he was. He's not throwing to Hopkins anymore. So yeah, I actually like that game too. And then
I also like Detroit minus 3, or not the line. I like Detroit and Tampa over 42.5. I think that's way too low.
Yeah, any game with the Lions, one of the top offenses for sure. And the little resurgence by Baker here in Tampa.
Yeah, he's been playing pretty good.
The All-Star team left over from the Brady years.
Oh my God.
Any other NFL?
Oh, again, any game against the Jets. I'm taking the Eagles minus 7 against them. Even though the Eagles have kind of struggled lately, and at betting terms wise, they've struggled. Like, who was it? The Redskins and them just went to overtime.
Yeah.
Even though when you look up passing yards, who's the Redskins or the Commanders? I'm sorry. Shout out to the natives. Sam Howell, I think it's like 2nd or 3rd in like passing yards, which is like insane to me. I didn't know that. But yeah, I just don't. I mean, that game, I think I'm hoping it was a fluke, so I'm taking the Eagles. I mean, it's the Jets, right? Like, Zach Wilson isn't going to score on you unless you're the Chiefs and just give up some bonehead plays, which they did. But the Jets are the Jets, and the Chiefs came back and would have beat him by 10 or 11, but he kneeled. I'm just taking them for 7, and I think that line's going to probably move.
You would think over 7, yeah, 7.5. I like the minus 7 too on that game. That's about all I got for NFL, unless you guys have another one.
I mean, one that I'm not going to bet just because it's 14.5, but I could see hitting is the Bills-Giants. Bills at home.
Yeah.
Giants just can't move the ball at all.
I think
14.5 is a lot.
I think I went over 45 on that one.
Just, yeah. The Bills probably score 43 of those points.
Yeah.
Oh. Let me check this real quick, because this might be my lock. If I just read that correctly, let's see. Yeah. Give me back to college here. Give me Kansas minus 3 at OK State.
Oh, I saw that too.
Even if their backup is in, that dude's a track star. Their team is pretty good. They won. Let me see their last game here. I know they played.
They run the ball. The backup's coming along. He's still
they beat UCF 51-22 with that backup. This game is at OK State. That doesn't matter. I'm locking that in for 3 points. Kansas minus 3.
Yeah, I like
just
that
think
one
they're
too.
a way better football team than OK State.
Yeah, I might steal that from you as well.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna steal that one also.
Don't do it for 3 then, guys. Come on.
No, I'll just probably do it for 1, unless I do some deep diving on it Saturday morning or something.
Doing it for 4.
All right. For the moment we all been waiting for, raise your hand if your team's in the ALCS.
Dude, you know this is the World Series essentially, unless the
for
Braves
us.
get through. If the Braves get through, they're scary. But I don't care if you have to face the Phillies or the D-backs. It's kind of like, you know, people are gonna be like, "Yeah, you beat the D-backs, big deal." Like, you almost don't want to face such an easy team, but then you do because you want another World Series if you're the Astros. But
Yeah.
I think the Rangers are so hot right now. It is scary. I'll give them that. Seager is just on another planet. It's like I would walk that dude every time. Then you got Semien, you know, Garcia is just loaded. When Jung is hitting 8th in your lineup, it's kind of scary. It's like, fuck, man, like it's gonna be a freaking what was the Fox guys? They're like, whatever, an immovable object hits a whatever that saying is.
Unstoppable
like,
force meets an immovable object.
It's gonna be a battle.
That actually is
And
a
I
good
know
way of
Scherzer's
putting it.
coming back. Scherzer is probably gonna pitch maybe like 2-3 innings when he comes back. If y'all do make the World Series, it'll probably be back up to a game, but y'all won't. So, I mean, y'all definitely are ahead of schedule. I'll give y'all that.
Yeah, for
Way
sure.
ahead.
I think Scherzer's kind of the key. He pitched a simulated game yesterday, right? Something like that.
Yesterday, the day before. So, but still, if he started, I don't think he'd have, you know, a full like, hey, I'm gonna go out there and I might give you 8 innings. Like he might give you 3, 4.
True.
So,
I could see that. And honestly, like, if he can give us 3-4, like game 1 or game 2 or 3 or whenever he does come out, I mean, you would think that if he can do that, if we are able to like extend this series or maybe go to the World Series, he could be back in a couple weeks. So, and we got until Sunday. That's another 3 days to rest, which is a long pause. But,
yeah,
man,
like
I don't know.
Like
I obviously think on paper your guys' pitching is kind of the edge, but it's just a matter of if our bats can out hit your pitching. I think that's the difference. You guys have good bats too, but like you said, Rangers are just fucking crushing it right now. I think your bullpen and your pitching is going to have to win it, which is not impossible at all for y'all. But I think at the end of the day, yeah, it's that. I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? Astros pitching, Rangers hitting. That's kind of what the matchup we're looking for.
I'm looking at if y'all had DeGrom, because I don't think you saw Evaldi being this good. I did. And then you have Nathan Evaldi, Max Scherzer, DeGrom. That's just like shit. That's like back when the Astros had like Garrett Cole, Verlander, or you know, just 3 studs. Like, what are you gonna do against that? It's not even fair.
Yeah, that does suck.
Yeah, Evaldi though, I think like he's gonna give you a win. I think you also have what's that pitcher's name? Another one on the. He's injured, but I don't think it's been too big of a deal. Gray, but I think it's just been y'all been mashing so much that it's like, hey, pitcher, just don't give up more than 4 or 5 runs. We'll be good.
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully,
good.
Hopefully they're a different team than, for the Rangers' sake, than like the Dodgers, right? Like the Astros, we've seen they have mashers, but they've all been down in games, and you've seen them come back to where you constantly have this belief they're not out of games. Some teams, like the Dodgers, they get down and they just start getting in their heads like offense not working. They just lose. They lose like they've won 100 games 4 times out of the last like 5 seasons. They get crushed in the first round. Like they don't respond to adversity. So I think like to the Rangers being ahead of schedule, it's like how many of those players? I think Seager was maybe on the Dodgers at one point. How many of them have like a ton of playoff experience? To where they know, like, let's just trust in what we're doing. Like, let's just hit, which is what they did all year. But, you know, you start thinking in the playoffs, so it's like an unknown factor. And I was reading this right here, that Bochy talking about Scherzer's 60-pitch simulated game, that he's feeling real encouraged, and that if he puts him on the roster, he'll be a starting pitcher, he said. So there's no, like, he's going to come in relief or whatever.
Right.
He's basically implying if he's on there, he's starting.
Yeah, John Gray, you were saying, Ren, he's on the 15-day IL. He went on October 10th. Or is that his release date? I guess he went on October 10th.
I think they just do it to see, or they say.
2 days ago he was put on the IL.
So you're injured, and if you're on the roster for the next round, then you're on it. You can't bring anybody or switch anybody in or out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's gonna be a damn good series. I think the winner of this series wins it all. I mean, if you're gonna face the Phillies or the Diamondbacks, even though the Braves could come back, and then you really like, I've been telling Ian all year that I don't want to face the Braves. Like, I thought they were number one in hitting, but in different metrics, it's between them and the Rangers, depending on which way you look at it. Like, one could be winning an average, but Rangers could have runs per game. But offensive lineup, they're about as deep as anybody. And then they got Acuna at the top with 70 steals, and their pitching is probably the best pitching in the playoffs. So to me, it's like I'd rather just face the Rangers and then get time off in their place. I don't really want to play the D-backs. I feel like that's just weird, like an easy win. Like, come on, like everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, you beat the D." Nick, you're gonna be the first one. You guys beat the D-backs.
You're just assuming that we beat the Rangers. But it does make it that is good because if it is just a y'all beat the D-backs, well, at least whoever wins this played each other already, so they got the trump card.
Yeah, it's like the Western Conference in the 2000s, right? Like the World Championships decided around earlier. Yeah, like I mean, obviously I'm stoked. It's just the Rangers bullpen just always fucking gives you a heart attack in the 6th or 7th inning. I mean, obviously, I think that will, like, if I had to put one thing on it that will end up being the deciding factor, it would be the Rangers bullpen, essentially. I think that's like a crux of what it is. And you guys have good bats, too. Like, you guys can hit, too. And so...
We just can't hit at home, which really, I honestly wish it was flipped. Like, when we're at home, it's just, I don't know what it is this year. And I think it is probably in their heads. As much experience as they have, MVP type players, like just batting title winners, and then they're just we actually have a losing record at home this year, which is crazy, right? We won 90 games with all those injuries and a losing record at home, which all those years we won, we killed it at home. I don't know what it is about that. Even our pitching stats are horrible at home. It's just what you expect with the Crawford boxes. I mean, short each way. So
yeah,
but,
that's what I was thinking.
I was telling them, I was like, really? The Rangers did the legwork for us. They got rid of the Rays. They got rid of the Orioles. Now we just spanked them. We get in. We're good. Back to where we were
work in the playoffs. That's for sure.
To be the champs,
the top two non-Astros AL teams, I believe. The number one overall team in the AL was the Orioles, right?
And then the Rays.
Scrubs.
And then the Rays, huh?
Yeah.
Absolute scrubs.
Yeah. Yeah, but they even showed, like, look at Baltimore. They went in there like basically like it was just too big for them, and not for the Rangers. They were hitting like they've been hitting like crazy. So I'm hoping this time off kind of kills that like hot streak, which everybody talks about. Like, it's good for the rest, but it's also like you want to stay in, like, you don't want to get out of rhythm and all that. And so,
well, you guys won. When was y'all's last game? Was it last night or the night before?
Yesterday.
Last night.
Was last night. So, and the Rangers won the night before that. So, I mean, the rest is not too different for us. And, like, the fact that Scherzer, who is possibly our biggest X factor, if he could have pitched or not, gets a few more days rest. I mean, I think overall it's good for us. So, dude, that's crazy. Minute Maid holds 41,000 people, and Kyle Field holds 100,000. Isn't that?
Yeah, dude,
that's
baseball
just.
stadiums are small compared.
I know. That's what I mean. Like, college stadiums are on another level, man. It's
I mean,
crazy.
even NFL, like, it's more geared towards like being fan friendly instead of just crushing in 115,000 people.
Yeah,
and
most NFL, I think, are like what, 50, 60, 70, maybe 80 the most.
Yeah, like it's except for like whatever Jerry World probably has the biggest, right?
I don't know the NFL seating, but I guess you would think, but I don't know. They have a lot of like open area and walkways and stuff, so who knows? Maybe not.
Yeah,
I would assume
tickets at Minute Maid.
It seems like that college fans for college football are just more diehards. So you can kind of bank on them a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That is true.
At least for the bigger schools, right? You definitely can, and
bigger student base
alumni's
and
always
stuff.
showing up. You're getting a minimum of like so many freshmen a year or whatever that are just like new fans guaranteed.
Yeah, that's true. All right, anything else on the Rangers Astros? I mean, obviously, we can't wait for Sunday, but yeah, man, I hope Scherzer comes back and maybe can pitch 5 or 6 innings, right? That'd be nice, but we'll see what happens with that. I think that's one of the biggest X factors probably in the series, obviously, but yeah, I think the Rangers bullpen is going to be the deciding factor, which I don't feel totally confident about. So
yeah,
they've been so bad, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I think the Rangers can definitely score with the best of them, and I think we're never really out of. We're both the stacked lineup, so
yeah, both of us could win from behind, which probably makes for a good series at the end of the day.
For sure. But all right, yeah, I think we're
good.
Going around on this.
All right. See y'all. Maybe we'll do a Sunday stream. Who knows? But yeah, we'll talk to y'all next time.